Hi, so we're here with Can Be Well. So I am the editor of the Connect newsletter, and I'm here with Greg Webb, who is a board member of the Can Be Well board. And he is a Touch for Health instructor for over 25 years and an RMT for 30 years, actually, this year. So we're going to be speaking with Greg. He has numerous other modalities under his belt, and he's been integrating massage therapy and bioenergetic wellness tools together and helping his clients. And we are focusing this month on men's health. And so Greg is going to be talking to us about some of a client that he had been working with, in particular with prostate health. But Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit about your client and what you worked on?
Sure, it's probably just your average North American working guy. He's been working the trades all his life. Oftentimes, when you're working construction or you're a driver or you're a whatever, there isn't a bathroom handy at work. So then you just sort of habitually learn, well, if I don't drink much water, but I can still eat my lunch, well, then you're not looking for a place to go pee all the time, right? One of the interesting things that happens with a man's body, and I think maybe part of the reason why prostate health comes up quite a bit, two primary reasons. One, inadvertent, unplanned, accidental, insufficient hydration, which then equals dehydration, which then anytime you have insufficient hydration, you automatically have acidity, toxicity, inflammation, and free radical stress. None of those are separatable. So again, anytime you are insufficiently hydrated, you have acidity, and most chronic degenerative diseases match up to an acidic state. You have toxicity. Most chronic degenerative diseases match up to a toxicity state. You have free radical stress. Most chronic degenerative diseases match up to free radical stress. And you have inflammation, which comes along with the package, right? And it all just happens accidentally. But in a man's body, the way we are plumbed to go pee, every drop of pee that leaves the bladder before it leaves the body has to first travel through the prostate.
Yes.
So the less water you drink, the more toxicity there is in your urine. And the
Mhm.
more toxicity there is in your urine, the more toxicity the poor old prostate is exposed to. And it eventually just ends up becoming a victim of lousy neighbors or a lousy mouth operator because they're not drinking enough water. But it's really a very common thing, and so it's common amongst men. It's common amongst people who especially work the trades where there aren't washrooms handy. But it's also common amongst people who start to accumulate many decades of birthdays because their natural thirst mechanism starts to diminish as they age, especially 65, 70 plus, right? Their natural desire to drink water becomes less. And so he gave me a call. We've been pals for a while. Said, yeah, Greg, got some prostate cancer going on according to the doc, early stages. So we've been working together. And uh, what did show up was a very high level of acidity, toxicity, free radical stress, inflammation in the prostate, but also large intestine. Large intestine, when the large intestine is congested, it puts weight down onto the prostate. And sections of the large intestine are very, very close to the prostate gland. So the more pressure and the more toxicity and the more, let's just put it, congestion that there is in the large intestine organ, it also puts toxicity and physical pressure and reduced circulation on the prostate. So if your water intake is not sufficient, you're lining yourself up for trouble. Another thing about water intake, it's really important that the water you drink has been filtered because when it comes to water, it's either have a filter or you're the filter. And municipal water supplies, they put enough toxic compounds in there to kill any living organism that would create a disease. But wait a minute, we're a living organism too, right? So have a filter or be the filter is the basic gigs on that. And then with your filtration system, it's really super important to make sure it leaves the minerals in the water because I've done a lot of intensive research, internal biochemistry wise, and clients that show up looking at their hydration. One of the things I check for is what kind of water are they drinking, and I have found that demineralized water, such as reverse osmosis or distilled, a lot of bottled waters are reverse osmosis. You're buying the big 5 gallon blue bottles, a lot of that's reverse osmosis, but demineralized water demineralizes your body, acidifies your body, and is almost like an installment plan on a disease creation process, and will also lead to less than ideal bowel function. So back to bowel function, not that this is really your favorite over tea breakfast topic or not, but by the time you're done breakfast or before breakfast, large intestine is the morning time. Chart over there. That box right there says large intestine meridian, and it's at its most powerful strength, 5 to 7 o'clock in the morning. So you should be having your morning constitutional. And if you're not having at least one, if not two, and even better, 3 bowel movements a day, then you've got large intestine congestion. And that is helped by making sure your water intake is good. Lots of fiber in your diet. Fiber comes with something that's not cooked that grew in dirt. So your raw veggies, your salads, and or even your brands, or there's lots of things, even like Metamucil is a fiber kind of thing. But make sure you get enough fiber in your diet, enough, and watch out for the processed cheeses and or the cheeses. They can congest. Dairies, milks, grains, those can be congesters, with the exception of bran. Bran cereals are not a bad fiber. The real nutshell is keep your water intake high, keep your fiber intake high, get some kind of an activity going on. And if you do need to go to the bathroom, find a way, because another thing that I've found, this is again a friend of mine who worked in the trades. He's got a bobcat and some landscaping equipment. Ended up with colorectal cancer because he'd be out on the job site all day with no place to go, and he'd have to wait until he got home. Well, he ended up with colorectal cancer as a result. So honor Mother Nature's wishes and keep yourself healthy.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Because I'm currently in massage school, kind of following your footsteps. We have a girl who has eliminated dairy from her diet, especially the processed cheese. And now her bowel movements she's like kind of emptying out. And so that processed cheese actually makes significant difference. And I know the other thing is when you do have it sort of sitting there stewing, that large intestine is still drawing the stuff out. So it, kind of does a nice little bit of fermenting. And if it sits there too long, it'll keep pulling those toxins and your body gets more toxic as well. So, how do you kind of, I know we can muscle monitor to test how much, fiber or how much water. Do you have it that when you're working with clients that there's kind of a typical scale that you tend to find that people kind of average it out, or are there any techniques that help us that we can do quickly together that might help increase the way our body absorbs water? I'm putting you
That's a
on the spot.
small question that potentially open a very large library of answers. Let's see. So one of my favorite ways of checking any data field, muscle monitoring wise, is with a percentage. And one of the things that I've learned, and we all end up eventually learning about muscle monitoring and its ability as a communication conversation tool with the body, is it will respond to the specificity of the question that the person applying the muscle monitoring is inquiring about. So I can check on what is the body's content level of their hydration. 100% is an ideal, 0%, you got room for improvement, honey. I find most people bounce around in the 15 to 30%. They're really not really as hydrated as I think they are. They're drinking liquids, but they're not drinking enough water. So again, you could even ask in regards with the quantity of water that a person is intaking, how many liters per day of that type of water would be ideal for them. When it comes to fiber, you could ask a simple question such as, of the fiber that's currently in your diet, what percentage of your fiber needs are being met by what you're currently eating?
Okay.
And then if you've got a food list or some ideas in your head, you can check what types of fiber would be good to add to that. Another good thing that helps material move through the intestinal tract is healthy oils. And as well, your body's digestive system has working staff that need to be populated, digestive enzymes and probiotics. So it's really important that the person takes extra enzymes with any cooked meal, because raw meals have enough enzymes within the meal to process themselves, but a cooked meal requires additional supplementation of enzymes. And then as well, friendly digestive flora, and there's a variety of those on the market. It's kind of fun to have people bring in their entire sample of their favorite vitamins and they'll evaluate them on a half a dozen or so different categories. It's one of the beautiful things about muscle monitoring is be able to help a person get better bang for the buck out of what they're shopping for at the grocery store and the vitamin store.
Yeah. So I know one of the things that sometimes we would have it that we'd see someone, we muscle monitor, we check we do the pinch test or we test, pull on the hair and touch for health to see if they're hydrated. and then they drink water, and then we check them again, and we find out that they're still not very hydrated. And then sometimes we have it that we get them to swish the water in the mouth to sort of activate that sort of signaling. Is that something someone could do too, to kind of like, hey, fire up those receptors and kind of go, hey, I'm giving you water, let's actually absorb this? Is that like just a simple way of kind of getting your body to absorb a little bit more water than usual?
Swishing your mouthful of water around in your mouth before you swallow it. Yeah, there's a little old saying that goes, chew your juices and how does it go? Drink your food and chew your juices. I
Yeah.
think that's how it goes. So in other words, do enough activation of the jaw that your food is actually almost in liquid form by the time you swallow it. And as well, the swishing of the juices and or water around in your mouth. What that does is there's a lot of enzymatic labeling as well as enzymatic digestion and initiation that happens within the mouth with the salivary tissues, the receptors in the mouth, which activate these specific then enzymes and activities downstream in the digestive tract, but also alert the brain chemistry regarding what's happening. There's sensors right in the roof of the mouth that go that lickety split right up to the pituitary
Yeah.
gland that let the body know what's going to happen. So the swishing around and the chewing is a big part of that.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thanks so much, Greg. I'm glad that we got to be able to touch on this, small subject, or this limited time, I should say, on a big subject of men's health. And thank you so much for that testimonial that you had with your client. So I thank you on behalf of Can Be Well, and I hope that this information was really useful to our other members. So thank you.
And my pal with prostate cancer is progressing along quite well indeed.
Oh, that is awesome. Great to hear. Okay, thank you so much, Greg, and we hope to see more of you. Okay.
Thanks so much.